Tell me who you are.
I am Susie Hutton.
And what is GSA? What does it stand for?
It stands for the Gay Straight Alliance.
Okay. And what exactly was it developed for at Bloomington Junior High School?
It was developed as a safe space for kids who either identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, or they might have family members or they're allies of the GSA community or the GLBT community, and they just wanted a safe space either to hang out or to be advocates.
And what would you like others to know about your group and their lifestyles?
Well, one of the things is that when we first started the GSA, the first year that we had some high school students that came down to the GSA, and they said that junior high just would have been completely different for them if they had had a GSA. They would have been able to concentrate more on trying to find themselves just as middle school people and students rather than worrying about their sexuality too. But they had some students at the high school say, well, gay, what is that? What does that mean? And they said, well, it means I get up, from my gay bed, I take a gay shower, and sometimes I help my mom make our gay dinner. And really what they were trying to say is that their lives are very much the same as everyone else's. So I think the things our kids really want to know is they just want to be themselves like every middle school kid does. And so the biggest thing that GSA does is give kids a safe space just to be themselves, which is just middle school kids.
And what types of activities does your group do?
It depends on the year. It's a student-led group, so some years we've had advocacy years where they brought in a guest speaker to come talk about sexual identity and sexual orientation, gender identity and sexual orientation, And then other years they've just been more of a support group for themselves, problem-solving different things that were happening at school and talking about that. This year they want to do a bit of mix, so we have some social time, but their first project has been creating posters about October is LGBT History Month, so they've been finding quotes and making posters for that activity and then doing some announcements. So right now they've been doing some school information, and then each month they'll do different things. We meet twice a month.
And what are the plans for the posters?
The posters are going to be hung in the hallway.
How can schools and teachers help bring a better understanding of your organization?
So the reason that we started the GSA was for the kids to be involved, but one of the cool things that research has shown is that schools with GSA bullying for all students decreases because it shows that your school is committed to anti-bullying of all students. So one of the things that I'd like for schools to consider, there aren't that many GSAs in junior high schools. And I think that people think, well, kids don't possibly know their sexual orientation this early, or they're afraid to talk about sex, and we don't talk about sex at all, ever. And I really don't know the sexual orientation of my students unless they just decide to tell me, because it's not something we talk about. What we talk about is how to feel safe at school, or what can we do about helping the LGBT community feel more accepted, and that includes parents. We talk about simple things like putting signs on doors so that when families come in, they know that this is a place that we are going to say that all families are treated equally. So what was the question? Because I might have gotten off track.
It's okay. How can schools and teachers bring a better understanding?
Oh, and so GSA is not advocacy for how to be gay. And, we're not looking to switch people from teams, and we're not looking also to challenge the religious beliefs of any community. We're just developing safe spaces for all kids to be part of public education settings and to feel like they belong.
Do you feel that the students feel like they can be safe at BJHS?
Safer, I do. And I think at the junior high, partially because they don't come out as often to their peers. More often it's perceived sexual orientation that kids are harassed or bullied for at the junior high. And I think that they do feel safer at the high school. It was very interesting because our neighboring community, Normal, got GSAs at the high school before we did, and it took us a while to find enough kids to feel safe enough to identify to go to a meeting because they did not feel like it was okay for them to be out at Bloomington High School. They were out online and, to their friends, but not at school. So we had to convince Unit 5 kids to talk to Bloomington kids to say, we have advisors ready to start a group for you. We just need to know who the kids are that need it. And about 50 kids showed up for the first meeting when they had it. Now they have probably maybe 5 to 10 because I think the kids, the GSA started off without any even like there wasn't even a hiccup. And when they've had different programs up at the high school, like wearing ribbons, people sign up, they wear them, or they don't, but there's no bullying about it. So I don't think the kids feel a need to have that group up at the high school as much. The junior high, I think still they find a need for it because they're not out as often to their peers, so they just need a place that they can come and hang out together.
What could students do to help spread the word about GSA?
Well, one of the things, it's not just for gay students, and I know that some kids that they feel that way, but it is a place where you have to be open and accepting. So I've had a couple kids who say, I'm interested in coming to GSA because I hear there's food. And so I just tell them this needs to be a safe space for all kids, and when you're here, you have to, this can't be like gossip for later when you leave. And I said there's not going to be where everyone sits around and identifies their sexual orientation to you. And, I want kids to make informed decisions when they ask me about coming, because most of the time when kids come in, they're coming because they know it's a good, safe space. But I also, every year, have some very strong advocates. They're just kids who are ready to change the world, and what they want to do is they want to be an ally. And it's great to have those kids, too. So what I want students to know, it's a space for all kids, but it really does need to be a space where people can be okay being with all kids.
Does your organization face any difficulties, either with the school or the community?
Yeah, several years ago, we did have an issue because we had these posters in the hallway, and someone from Lincoln, Illinois came to a band concert here and complained about feeling like that was inappropriate for a junior high to have a GSA. It caused a very strange knee-jerk reaction by our district, who had us take all the posters down and write student-led on all the posters because they didn't say student-led. And that's a much longer story. It ended up being that all student-led groups were supposed to have the word student-led on there, and they now do because the GSA did. But it caused a lot of people to do some knee-jerk things.